Steve, are you serious right now? Welcome back. I'm trying a new background. I hope it looks good. And Eleanor has decided that she's only going to partially join. Briley is here, but she isn't able to be seen. She's laying at my feet. So we're just going to jump right into it. And I don't have a ton to discuss. I have, or had, we all know and love her by name, you know, beautiful Corona. So this is the best I have felt in days. So I'm recording to document what I have read and also what I have read with Miss COVID. So the first one that I have to talk about is not a book that I physically own a copy of, but it is The Project by Courtney Summers. And I listened to this on audio, and let me get real comfy here. So I listened to it on audio on the way to and from work for weeks because it took me forever to listen to this, and I finally had to let it go back to the library, take a break, and then try it again because it was interesting, but then it was getting nowhere. In my honest opinion, like it literally felt like the story was going nowhere, and I got very bored. Like it was interesting, and then it just plateaued, and then so I was like, well, maybe this is just part of it. So I trudged through it, and like the longer I listened, just the less I cared, and it just seemed like there was like progression being made, but it really didn't feel like there was. Like I honestly. Like, I don't feel that now that I've read this, that I have gained anything from reading it. So, thankfully, I didn't own a physical copy because I 110% would have, like, unhauled it. But, it seemed like it wanted to be a cult classic. Like, it was trying too hard to be a cult classic. And yes, I'm using my reading journal. But I don't know if you want to see my entry. It's not very good because I don't draw there. But my exact review in my reading journal says, very indifferent, started with good potential, got boring somewhere in the middle, okay ending, I had a hard time staying interested, I almost DNF'd it, but I was curious to see how it ended. Not satisfactory, but it was just okay but and then the quote that I did was okay but uninteresting. I give this 2.5 stars. It was, I guess, considered young adult, but I really don't know that it was young adult or new adult because I'm not really sure where the age graphic there ended because we're following a 18 or 19-year-old girl who is working a full-time job and living on her own. So it seems more new adult to me, but it read very much like a young adult book. So I'm not really sure what happened there. But I did really like the cover, which I'll insert again another picture. But the cover makes this story seem so much darker than what it really was. And I'm trying to not spoil anything, but it's not like there was a lot to spoil because at one point the story literally went nowhere. This is my first Courtney Summers, so I am going to read from her again, but definitely would not be recommending The Project. And then the next one I have been working on for a hot minute. If you follow my Goodreads, you know that it's been a while. And that is... Oh, there's some dust on my book. It is The Beautiful by Renee Audier. And I will actually insert a picture somewhere in this review of my partial comment of my review because this book I was hooked, okay? I know it took me a while, but I was hooked. Like, when I read it, like, I took out chunks at a time, even if I didn't get to read it all at once, like I had wanted to. And I just, this was apparently marketed. I don't know if the marketing team really intended for it to be marketed this way, but it was marketed at Books A Million, which is where I bought it, as the new Twilight, and that's a negative, my guy. I don't know where they got that impression, but that was a negative, because I just want to make sure that in this I didn't misunderstand anything, but let me tell you, the love story there, that subplot, I was here for it. I was here. I did enjoy this quite a bit. I gotta go to my review page though. Let me find it in here to make sure I'm not leaving any of my points out. Also, this cover, can we just discuss it? And I don't know if anybody has discussed the embossing of the lion on the cover, but they need to. I was here for it. And that main character, Celine, baby, let me tell you, she was a little spicy. Sometimes, though, her thoughts and her dialogue, to me, didn't add up. So, there was a little bit of, I don't even know if it was a parallel there. Like, there was a little bit of not adding up there for me. But I'm not even telling you what this is about, but let me tell you. I haven't told you what any of these are about, but look, this is my review. So, we're here. So, Celine travels from Paris to New Orleans, and she gets entangled in this group of people, and then there's a string of murders that happen, and she thinks that she needs to solve it. But, so chaos ensues, romance clearly ensues, and I was here for it, and I enjoyed it. It read very much like a young adult, but it was a very good young adult, and this was more, I know it's kind of a fantasy, but it was definitely an urban fantasy, and it makes you think that there's vampires involved, but it doesn't tell you there's vampires involved, so, that's that. But I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars, which seems like a low rating, but I don't think it is. Like, I enjoyed it. It was good. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't mind-blowing. Like, I was here for it, but like, and I'm gonna keep it. Like, it's definitely gonna go onto my like enjoyed series. You know, I'm going to keep it on my shelves, but I can't say that I'm ready to die for the book, okay? So, there was that. But, my exact words in my reading journal were slightly enchanting, lots of build-up, waited for the supernatural factor, received multiple, factors, but nothing explicitly stated, looking forward to the next installment. Which, let me highlight on that, there was so many hints and like telltale signs of like supernatural factors, but they didn't discuss any of them, and it was a ton of buildup. So, especially towards the end, like there was so much buildup that it finally started to unwind and then it ended. And let me tell you, Miss Renee Audier did not have to do us how she did us, okay? She could have ended this book 4 paragraphs before she did. There was no need for that partial cliffhanger, and I just need her to know I am slightly mad. I was a little angry. But I will be tuning in to the next installment of that book. And the next one that we're discussing, let's see. This was a DNF for me. So I'm just going to highlight my DNF. I got 30% through this book, and it was The Removed by Brandon. Is it Brandon? What is his name? I don't even know. But it was part of one of my Book of the Month subscriptions, and I had been curious about it for a while, and I don't even remember what the summary of this book was, but it was called it's The Removed, as we've already seen, and it is about this family whose 15-year-old son was mistakenly shot and killed 15 years prior, and so it's kind of like the family coming together and dealing with the grief even like years later. And it followed so many different points of view. Like, you had the mom, you had the brother, you had the sister, you had the dad who's got dementia. And it was just, it kind of circled, but it didn't get anywhere. And then there was, this is an indigenous author, so it was following, according to the summary on the book, it was supposed to be following a little bit of a, Cherokee myth, with some, like, spiritual influence. I was over 30% through the audiobook, and honestly, I felt like the story was progressing nowhere. I genuinely didn't care. It wasn't written terrible. Like, the writing style was very good, but it was, I don't even know if this would be a slow burn, slow build up, because I was over 30% of the way through, and I was like, what is going on? Like, what are we building up to? So ultimately, I DNF'd it because I genuinely didn't care, and I didn't want to waste my time on a book that I didn't care about. So I DNF'd that one at 30%. And the next one I picked up and finished, because I've been at home, is a author that I have been really wanting to read his books, but apparently they went out of print, and I didn't know that they went out of print, or the artwork on the cover is out of print, so they started doing new artwork. And that is Eric LaRocca. I have one of his other books, which I think I hauled in one of my hauls, that I keep buying books and then not reading them. Anyway, so the one I did get to read, I think it's his newest release. I could be wrong. I think there's one out for pre-order right now. But this is the newest, like, released one. And it is We Can Never Leave This Place by Eric LaRocca. These are the newer art. This is what the new covers are going to be following. I enjoyed this. Let me flip to the page on my reading journal so we know. I enjoyed this. It was like an apocalyptic short story. It's very short. I don't even know if this would be considered a novella, because this is 110% a short story. And we follow the point of view of a 16-year-old girl, and her name is Mara. And on, like, the first page, her father dies. So this is not a spoiler whatsoever. So her father dies, and during this apocalyptic ongoing, and that's kind of also how you find out that you're in an apocalyptic world. And from there, it just, everything goes further downhill for this girl. And her and her mother have a very damaged relationship. It's not a healthy one whatsoever. And it was good. The writing was very good. It wasn't mind-blowing or anything, but I wish we had gotten more. Like, I need some backstory. Like, I want to know what happened to her after the ending. Like, it was good for what it was, but I genuinely just wish there was more, which I know I'm not going to get because it's a short story. But, like, I wish there was more. I could have been so much more invested than what I was. To be honest. And the tagline, let me just read you the tagline. When you're given a gift, something else gets taken away. And let me tell you, and if you've read it, that scene with the bird, baby, it broke my heart. But anyway, we're not going to discuss that because that one is a spoiler. But if you know, you know, okay? But let me read my exact words in my reading journal. Weird as fuck, apocalyptic, well written. I wish I'd gotten more backstory. That was all I wrote. I try to keep it short, sweet, and to the point. Also, there's like some illustrations on the chapter headers. Of course, I can't find one now. And it kind of like looks like pieces of paper. There's one that's got like a coffee ring to it. I think it's the second chapter. No, that one's got a map on it. Chapter 4. It's got like a coffee cup ring. And ultimately, I just genuinely wish we'd gotten more. And I put a 3-star, like I put it as 3 stars on my Goodreads. But I mean, I felt like 3 stars was like, sounds mean, but like I just enjoyed it. It was good. It was okay. Like it didn't blow my mind. Wish we'd gotten more. Like if I'd been more invested, it would have been a higher star, but I didn't have enough to get invested in. So, but it was a good 3 stars. It was not like a 3 stars. Like this was enjoyable. Like I'm keeping it. And I don't know, like if you've read any of these, like let me know, especially the removed, because I may return back to it one day when maybe I've got time to sit and get further than 30%. But honestly, like it just felt like we were circling the drain and not going down the rabbit hole of the story. But maybe that was the point, but I wasn't there for it. Thanks for coming, and I'm sorry that I sound terrible, but Miss Corona paid a visit. And I will see y'all in the next video. Hopefully. Maybe I'll sound better too.